Hello, I'm Kev F, continuing my TV of the year 2024, and in the countdown we're at number 20 with Feud, Capote and the Swans. This was jolly good fun. Tom Hollander was essentially Elmer Fudd, or Truman Capote, and it was a dream-laden, unreliable memoir adapted from what seems like an unadaptable book full of stories, many of which are probably true. Never have you spent so long failing to empathise with such a gaggle of dreadful people who deserved everything that came to them. Number 19, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Sort of a comedy, sort of a crime of the week, sort of based on a movie. This was a quirky crime caper. There was a surprise and a delight throughout. It featured Maya Erskine, who I've not seen since Pen 15, if you remember that, and Donald Glover, who kill people for a living and somehow you're still willing them on all the way. Number 18, Smoggie Queens. If you've not seen Smoggie Queens, it's a nice new discovery on BBC Three. It's proving more endearing than most BBC Three comedies, which struggle to rise above the sophomoric and the gross, or sometimes the worthy. This is sweet. The Titanic episode 3, is probably the funniest British sitcom episode of this year, which sadly isn't saying much because there's not a great deal of competition. But Smoggie Queens, cracking. Number 17, Supacell. Not even 5 years ago, this would have been a Channel 4 show. The cast, including Tosin Cole, who's in the lead, finally getting a role so we can forget about all those years with Jodie Whittaker in Doctor Who. It's a young urban cast. The location is London. The vibe is sci-fi with social drama underneath. What bit of that is not Misfits or Utopia or Humans? It's Channel 4. Sadly, Channel 4 will never again have the money or the audience or the wherewithal to make dramas like this anymore. So it's I suppose we should be glad that Netflix is making it for them. Sorry, I double bit the pressing of a button there. At number 16. Let's call it number 16 on my chart, Clark. Fisk. Probably sometimes better if I just let the pictures do the talking for me. Fisk, Australia does it again. While the UK struggles to deliver a successful half-hour comedy after the demise of Ghosts, it's been tumbleweed out there in sitcom land. If you're scrolling down this chart looking for the next great British sitcom, I'm afraid, having seen Smoggie Queens behind us on the list, the remainder of this countdown is a desert in that regard. I'm the guy who used to run the sitcom trials. Look for us. It was the quest to find the new sitcom. I can't say we succeeded. Anyway, Australia this year has given us Colin from Accounts and now Kitty Flanagan, who I've introduced as an MC back in the day at the Comedy Box when I was doing a lot of stand-up. She's writing and starring as Fisk, somewhere between Miranda and The Office. But my God, it's 100 times better than the Australian Office, which I mentioned earlier. This was laugh out loud brilliant. At number 15 in my charts, Hacks. Now, I've come a bit late to the party on Hacks, having only watched season 1 so far this year, but knowing it's been winning Emmy Awards right up to season 3. The best writing of relationships and the most cringy of cringe comedy that we've seen this year is Hacks. It's a half-hour comedy, which proves that the half-hour comedy isn't dead. It's just in another dimension, that's all. Number 14, The Gentleman. What is this nonsense doing so high up in my charts? It's Guy bloody Ritchie. He's giving his old-fashioned cockney blokes and your lordships, shooting guns and flogging drugs in a cartoon landscape of privileged ponces and gormless gangsters, falling somewhere between Minder and a Mark Miller comic. Stonkingly good fun. Surprisingly unpretentious too. Number 13, Fallout. Now, I've not seen the video game because that would have necessitated me having ever played a video game ever in my life, which, as you probably have guessed, I haven't. I came to this fresh. It reminded me, Fallout, it reminded me more than anything of the dystopian sci-fi I used to read 40 years ago in 2000 AD comic, which is probably where the people who invented the video game got many of their ideas from in the first place. It's the sort of show that really needed its big budget to work, and it made great use of it throughout, not least on Walton Goggins' nose. Or lack thereof, which needs more CGI for every scene than most TV shows used to have for a whole series. At number 12 in my chart, we have The Traitors. And not just The Traitors Season 2 in the UK, but also Australian Traitors Series 2, American Traitors Series 2, and New Zealand Traitors Series 1, all on the BBC, I think. This should probably be in the staples part of my charts now, or should it be in the sequel zone, or should I have a special guilty pleasures category for the Traitors? Whatever, we've loved it, and we don't go into it uncritically. After January's UK season 2, which was top notch, we almost bailed on Australia season 2, which seemed to have overloaded itself with attention-grabbing show-offs. But Australia 2 went on to deliver the best twists so far, not least of which it had an attention-grabbing great villain. It was as the lead traitor and a really cracking surprise ending. I won't spoil anything for you. Then USA Series 2 redeemed itself after it had a floppy season 1, and season 2 started worryingly because it was really celebrity-laden, with celebrities that, of course, in this country we mostly hadn't heard of, apart from John Burko, who thankfully was edited out an awful lot. But it wasn't as good as Aussie 2 or UK 2, but it wasn't bad. Alan Cumming had really come into his own. And then we ended the year with New Zealand season 1. And that's a refresher, because it was done on a fraction of the budget of the others. Free from the celebrities, free from the show-offs. It was just gameplay all the way. They don't even have a castle, they have a shed. And they pronounce that in a very funny way as well. Looking forward to a new year of Traitors. At number 11 in my chart, and I really must master this pressing the button. It's old fingers. Old fingers can't press buttons on phones as well as young fingers. You kids today. Anyway, at number 11 in my chart, Ludwig. Ludwig is quaint and lovable, and this was the nearest to an old-fashioned, cosy crime of the week detective show that's smart enough to be watchable. I'm not one of those ones for just another ITV or daytime crime drama. They really don't grab me. But this one, yeah, just that bit better. They call it the part that David Mitchell was born to play, and they may well be right. You may remember, yeah, you wouldn't possibly remember this, but people who've been following me writing in my blogs about the stuff I've been writing, I started to write crime novels a while ago, and my first attempt was Underwriter Hog. I stole it from a TV show ages ago called Breadwinner Hog, but mine was called Underwriter Hog, and it was I cast in my mind David Mitchell to play an insurance claims adjuster who every week would wind up at the scene of a crime, and then he'd turn out to be the person who solved it. This programme, Ludwig, was inevitably better than mine would have been had I ever finished it. Now we come to my top 10 TV of the year.